Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we're going to go over the practice problems for long division and writing your remainders as decimals. So we're going to start off with question number 1, 554 divided by 4. And again, if you find that my video is going too slow, you can speed up the speed on YouTube, or if I'm going too fast, you can slow it down as well. So I'm going to make one group of 4 out of the 5. And when we subtract, we get a difference of 1. I'm going to bring the 5 down to make that 1 into a 15. 4 goes into 15 3 times. That's 12. When we subtract, we have a difference of 3. I'm going to bring the 4 down to make that 3 into a 34. And 4 goes into 34 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. All right, we have a difference of 2 here. At this point, we're going to add a decimal point and a 0, so I can continue dividing. And I'm also going to bring that decimal point up. So let's bring that 0 down to make the 2 into 20. And 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And we have 0 remainder here. That means we can stop dividing. And our quotient is 138 5/10. So let's move on to number 2. 329 divided by 5. So I can't make any groups of 5 out of the 3. But I can make 6 groups of 5 out of 32. 6 times 5 is 30. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 2. I'm going to bring the 9 down to make that 2 into a 29. 5 goes into 29 5 times. That's 25. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 4. Now we're going to add a decimal point and bring that up into the quotient as well. And we'll add a 0 just to the right of the decimal point, so we can bring it down and continue dividing. 5 goes into 40 8 times, and that's 40 exactly. So we can stop dividing now because we have 0 remainder. And our quotient is 65 8/10. On to question number 3, 497 divided by 9. We can't make any groups of 9 out of the 4, but we can make 5 groups of 9 out of 49. That's 45. And when we subtract, it's a difference of 4. We're going to bring the 7 down to make it 47. 9 goes into 47 5 times. That's 45 again. And now we have a difference of 2. We're going to add a decimal point and bring that up into the quotient as well. Add a 0 just to the right and bring it down. 9 goes into 22 times. That's 18. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 2 again. So when we keep bringing zeros down, we're going to have this repeating pattern of 20 minus 18 and so on and so forth. So this 2 is going to repeat over and over again. So I'm going to put a bar just over the 2 to show it repeats. On to question number 4. We have 110 divided by 4. We can't make any groups of 4 out of 1, but we can make 2 groups out of the 11, and that's 8. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 3. I'm going to bring the 0 down, so that's 30. 4 goes into 37 times. That's 28. We have a difference of 2, so we're going to add a decimal point and a 0 and bring the decimal point up into the quotient. I'm going to bring the 0 down so I could keep dividing, and 4 goes into 20 5 times. That's 20 exactly, so we can stop there because we have no remainder. So our quotient is 27 5/10. All right, question number 5, 268 divided by 7. So no groups of 7 out of the 2, but we can make 3 groups out of the 26. Difference is 5. So I'm going to bring the 8 down. 7 goes into 58 8 times. That's 56. We have a difference of 2. So I'm going to add a decimal point and a 0. We're going to bring the 0 down and the decimal point up into the quotient. 7 goes into 20 2 times. That's 14. We have a difference of 6. So we're going to add another 0 and bring it down so we can keep dividing. 7 goes into 60 8 times. Again, that's 56. We have a difference of 4. We're going to add another 0 and keep dividing. 7 goes into 45 times. That's 35. And we have a difference of 5. And we can keep going and dividing over and over. What would not be appropriate is to bring the remainder up after our decimal points at that point. So either, since this is not a repeating decimal, I'm not seeing any pattern yet, we can't use the bar here. So we are going to round it to the nearest hundredth at this point. So if I'm looking at rounding it to the nearest hundredth, that's to 2 decimal place values. This 5 tells me we're going to round that 8 up to a 9. So if I'm rounding it, it would be 38 and 29 hundredths. All right, let's move on to 2-digit divisors. So we have 4,366 divided by 50. Well, we can't make any groups of 50 out of the 4 or out of the 43, but we can make 8 groups of 50 out of 436, and that would be 400, 8 times 50. So when we subtract, we have a difference of 36. I'm going to bring that 6 down. From here, we can make 7 groups of 50 out of 366. That would be 350. We have a remainder of 16. So we're going to add a decimal point and a 0 and a decimal point up in the quotient. Let's bring the 0 down, 160. We can make 3 groups of 50 out of the 160. And when we subtract, that's a difference of 10. So I'm going to add another 0 in to bring down to make it 100. And we can make 2 groups there. So we can stop dividing because we have no more remainder. So our quotient is 87 and 32 hundredths. On to the next one. We have 9,081 divided by 12. All right, so no groups of 12 out of the 9, but we can make 7 groups of 12 out of the 90. 7 times 12 is 84. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 6. Let's bring the 8 down to make it 68. And 68 divided by 12, we can make 5 groups. 5 times 12 is 60. When we subtract, we have a difference of 8. When I bring the 1 down, that makes it 81. 12 goes into 81 6 times. 6 times 12 is 72. And the difference there is 9. So from here, we're going to add a decimal and a 0. And bring our 0 down. So 12 goes into 90. 7 times. That's 84. Difference of 6. We're going to add a 0. Bring the 0 down. And 12 goes into 60 5 times. So that's 60 exactly. We can stop dividing there. So let's go on to question number 8. We have 1,485 divided by 81. So I can't make any groups out of the 1 or 14. And I know if I double 80, that would be 160. So if I doubled 81, that would be over the 148. So that means we can only make 1 group. And when we subtract, we have a difference of 67. So we're going to bring the 5 down, 675. And again, I'm thinking in my head, 81 is close to 80, and I can skip count by 80s pretty well. I know that 8 groups of 80 is 640, and that's really close to 675. So we're going to try doing 8 groups of 81. And that is 648. So we're going to put the 8 on top of the 5 and subtract 648 from 675. And that would be a difference of 27. Excuse me. We're going to add a decimal point here and a 0. That 27 becomes 270. And again, I know 3 groups of 80 is 240, which is really close to 270. So let's try 3 groups of 81. and that's 243. So I'm going to bring my decimal point up into the quotient and put a 3 up. And then we're going to subtract 243. And again, in my head, I'm counting up rather than showing the borrowing, but you can show the borrowing. That is a difference of 27. So when I add a 0 again, that 27 becomes 270, and it will go in again 3 times. So we're going to see this 3 repeating over and over. So I'm just going to put a bar over the 3 there. So our quotient is 18.3 repeating. All right, if you have any questions, join back on the Meet, or I will answer your questions tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye.